So you're asking about modern politics, which is tough because I still can't figure out why my neighbor Kevin thinks he needs to mow his lawn at 7 in the morning on a Saturday, but I'll give this a try. Politics used to be pretty simple in America. Here's this guy who wants to be president. Now, today, it's more like, here's a guy yelling about stuff, and half the country's like, and the other half is like, I don't understand what he's talking about. I am just trying to remember who I voted for in the local school board election. Now, let's talk about this in fancy words because apparently we may have to do so. Populism. This is when politicians say there's regular people and bad elites, which is confusing because I do not know any elites. My brother in law Todd thinks he's fancy because he's got a riding lawnmower, but he still shops at Walmart. I don't know where these elites are hiding. Nativism. That's when people say only people born here are real Americans, which seems kind of limited. I've got friends from Ohio, but they make better cornbread than me. And I'm from New Jersey, so I don't know how any of this works. Demagoguery, big word. It means leaders just say stuff that makes people feel instead of thinking things. You can tell your family you're having a special dinner when it's really just hot dogs again. It's going to work every time. Then there's negative partisanship. This is when you don't vote for somebody because you like them. You vote against the other person because you don't like them, which is how I pick movies. I don't know what I want to watch, but I do know what I don't want to watch. It's usually what's on Netflix. A liberal democracy, that's where somebody wins an election fair and square, but then changes all the rules so that nobody else can ever win again. When my girlfriend beats me at Monopoly, and then wants to be the banker every time. It's smart, but it's annoying. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, how do you fix any of this? I don't know. Nobody's asked me, but here's what some folks might be saying. You can make people learn how government works, which is probably what you learned in civics class. It sounds good, but I still don't understand why we have an electoral college. Is it a real college? Do they have a football team? You want to fix elections so that politicians actually have to talk to everybody, not just their angry friends. They have this thing called ranked choice voting out there, which sounds complicated. So does my TV remote, but I figured that out. You also want to get better news out there. Angry news makes money and calm news is boring. You never see a news story on local man paying taxes. That's boring. You got to make people work together on stuff. You know, like how everybody in your neighborhood helps when somebody's tree falls down or there's a flood. Nobody asked who voted for who. You just go out there, you fix the tree, you pump the water out. Now, for messaging, you could say stuff like you could just basically talk about stuff that everybody cares about, like jobs and healthcare and why everything costs so much. You want to stop dividing people into groups. We're all just trying to get through the day without our kids losing their minds when you go shopping at Target. You don't want to lecture people, just ask questions. Like, that politician actually fix the potholes, or did they just tweet about potholes for 4 years and do nothing? You want to tell people that things can get better because being scared all the time is exhausting, although it does make people easier to control. I tried it during the early years of COVID and couldn't sleep for weeks. Now, basically, politics comes down to this. Do you want leaders who bring people together to solve problems, or leaders who just point at problems and yell at whose fault it is and do nothing? And honestly, if you don't like either option,